If anyone has any questions, now it's time to ask. Thomas?
I'd like to ask the first reader some of the poets that he learned things that he feels that he learned something from. Who he were influenced by.
Do you like that?
It's a good question. Pablo Neruda. Neruda is a Chilean poet, was very important to me. I don't think I read anything like him, but maybe was politics and kind of going with whatever comes into your head, not necessarily being sure where it's going to go. Philip Levine, who is, I think, currently the poet laureate, is another poet who's been quite important to me. I love the poems of Thomas Hardy. I don't know anything like him, but he's a storyteller, and I have a lot of narrative in my stuff.
Could you sing louder than that amplified guitar?
I can try.
Yeah.
That's always the
Sing
goal.
louder than that amplified guitar so I can hear your words, please.
You got it, sir.
Phil likes to ask questions that don't have a question mark.
Well,
For
for my
a question from Phil Hill, so you get to tell people.
I will remember it always.
Anyone with a question that ends in question mark?
I have a question.
Please.
Okay, so my husband, I have a question for my husband. Will be Devin, the man in the middle.
Yes, I'll do the dishes when I get home.
Alright, the question is how do you feel growing up in a literary household affected your own artistic bent?
I mean, I guess in some ways, like to say it's a literary household would seem a little off. My dad read to me and my older brother, he's 4.5 years older than me, he read to us stuff like To Kill a Mockingbird and Catcher in the Rye when I was probably much younger than other people would be when they were exposed to that stuff. But I think he always did it in such a way that made it seem fun and interesting as opposed to, you know, literary. So some people have this notion of literature and poetry that's just sort of dry and academic. But I think, you know, he did it in such a way that it was just interesting stories. I didn't know anything about the importance of those books when I heard about them, but I thought they were interesting to hear. So that's what comes to mind.
Any other questions? I would actually like to ask another question also, just about your story with Mr. Jones, the excerpts where he's just sort of reeling poetry. Is that poetry that you wrote for that?
Yeah, those two poems represent something like 66% of my poetic output. And I find, the first one was in heroic couplets, and the second one was in one of the pentameters, I don't even know. But I found those structures helpful, and it gave some music to the words, and I know it's kind of old school poetry, and not many people write that way, but I didn't mind the form. Maybe that was the only way that I was able to do it. But yeah, I wrote those poems.
Yes?
Now, I'm just wondering who the musical people listen to.
Well,
Both got answers.
yeah. We listen to as much as we can, which is sort of a way of evading an answer, but I find myself on any given day listening to a lot of blues, like early blues. Blind Willie Johnson is one of my favorites, and oh gosh, who else?
Howlin' Wolf.
Howlin'
I
Wolf.
listen to a lot of old stuff like, I don't know, from movie musicals. I grew up with that, so I listen to a lot of Doris Day and Peggy Lee and stuff like that.
And the rest of it is lots of current independent artists,
The
bands like
National,
The National.
Beirut, Arcade Fire, Sunset Road Down.
And then, you know, stuff in the middle too, like Elvis Costello and the Beatles. You know, as much as we can.
I have a question.
Yes.
Since you have a male and female singer, can you do Praise God, I'm Satisfied? Is that a song that you guys... I mean, not now.
Believe it or not, yeah, I mean, we can.
Oh,
We probably will. We have a really bad habit of driving around in our car to shows or things, and songs come up on the iPod, and we go, we should cover this, and then we never do.
Yeah, you guys should. Definitely should, yeah.
But yes, someday there are lots of duets.
And Devin, will you illustrate the praise?
That's
Sure.
yeah.
I don't know if it's as conducive. This is like blues nerd conversation now.
Bit of actually, I sort of did the reverse with that last song we played. That I draw too. I do some illustrative stuff, and that last song we played actually started out as a drawing.
Oh, wow.
Turned into the song, so you know, kind of neat.
So, for the musicians, where does the name come from?
The name, The Aches. Well,
Our seventh name.
well, yeah. If you hadn't noticed, which you probably did, we tend to write songs that, whether they sound happy or not. A former bassist of ours once accused me of not being capable of writing a happy song. So,
That's why I just forward.
yeah. Write a sad song about the bassist we used to have. But it just, we actually used to be called The Aches and Pains, and
Everybody was just calling us the Aches, so then we just were the Aches.
we lost the
And
pains.
we changed the numbers, so it worked out. Yeah.
Yep. So it just worked. Something about the aesthetic of the music we both like and listen to. It's music that both expresses ache and hopefully soothes it to some degree. So.
Once upon a time, we were Christopher Church Mouse, but they kept thinking his name was Christopher, so that was really confusing.
No, Christopher, it's so nice to meet you. And my name's Colin. I'd be like, yeah, me too. It's also nice to meet me.
You know how Jeff Cole feels.
Yeah, right.
Anyone else? Last chance. Going once, twice.
So right there.
What? Y'all, I really want to thank you a whole lot for coming out tonight to this, and I really